Hello and good to see you. I'll try to stay out of the way so you have good view of what we're doing. It was last summer we started kind of figuring out how fun at Wreath Makers Live it was to use simple paint sticks to mount things on. This is painted green because it's left from last summer. If I could do this again and I didn't already have these ready, I probably would paint it brown. The other day when I was creating this whole thing for you guys, we had done a floating design before, but it was a little more complicated, and I decided, you know what, if we just put this in the grapevine here, we can let the float occur on this wonderful stable base. So what I did is I just kind of weave this in a little. And you know what? This is just kind of like having a swag on a wreath. So I slid this in, and then I'm going to put this at the top. But you could make this like brown where it kind of disappeared. The green's fine too. So I'm just weaving that under. So it's actually pretty stable here. I'm going to get pretty even placement up and down. It's pretty stable, but I go ahead and wire it in just for safety because I over prepare. Y'all, my history of doing craft shows for so many years and people tearing stuff up and just they would bring this up to you like this. Hello, they'll do it like this. They'll hold it by they're like, I would like this wreath, and they're holding it by the stem of the pumpkin, and you're like, ah, ah. So I panic, like I over-construct things sometimes, but it's good training anyway, so you're prepared. So I'm going to try to get that mostly to the middle. Take a look because these are going to be showing on either side on this design. So you know what, if it looks ugly, that's going to show. So kind of try to pick the prettiest side. Now I'm going to take some 18 gauge wire and we're just going to wire this directly to it. I also have a staple gun. I'll staple it in, and I'll staple and we'll wire it to it. This is just like overkill, but we're going to do it anyway because I don't want anything falling apart, anybody, or sliding around, especially if you ship your pieces. I think I have the short staples. Okay, that works good. I'm going to staple one on each end. So I just did kind of a little figure 8. I'm just going to tie that off. Okay, I'm just zigzagging this. This doesn't have to be pretty or anything because it's really not going to show. I love this stuff. I put a lot of thought in it. This isn't just me up here playing. I really put a lot of thought into this to make this really easy to describe to you and hopefully easy for you to implement. This comes off a big sheet of foam, okay? And I'm sorry that I don't have the big sheet here, but it's a long sheet. And I literally use every inch of that sheet. And then I'm going to just take, this is a little piece we cut off, and I'm just going to cut this enough where it goes between here and here. You don't need a whole ton of this because we're not going to have stuff flying off that high. We're going to put most everything right here in this middle zone. Okay, so let me get my knife out and we'll trim that down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to cut about 4 inches off of this one. Nothing too fancy there. We're going to put this just right in this middle zone. Okay, so we've got lots of space to attach things. This is a little thin. If you are a beginner, I would cut this a little thicker because it's easy to break this foam if it's very thin, okay? So unless you're comfortable in knowing kind of how to put things where you don't tear this up and break it, cut this another 1/4 inch thicker, okay? Let me throw a little Gorilla Glue on here to be safe, just in case. Y'all, Gorilla Glue, I buy mine at Sam's Club. That's like a 3-pack. You do not have to get it there. You can get it at any craft store, Walmart. It's clear. It says Gorilla. It's liquid, okay? I don't like the Gorilla Glue hot glue, but I do like this one. And I use this in conjunction with the hot glue just to kind of get a more stable base. It's not necessarily that important when going to wood, but it is when we're going to metal or plastic or anything like that. I'm going to try to keep this centered, but I'll put my hanger on at the end. Now, I can't really dip this long strip, so you're going to see me just take glue and bring it to this. You'll notice I don't use a glue gun. We're going to just use a glue pot and bring the glue to our surfaces. I don't pull triggers. I've had a couple of different hand surgeries for over pulling triggers. So no triggers. You won't see me doing that. The most I'll do is cut, and I try to cut full-handed if I can. Okay. So I'm going to turn this over, and then what I can do right now is hit any of this glue that's kind of exposed on the edges right here. I'm going to hit it with moss. So I'll just set it down, And it's laying flat on the table, and I'm going to hit that with moss right now so that I don't have to try to cover that up later. This is a chartreuse Spanish moss, and I'm just going to use it in little strips going along on each side, okay? And I'm not going on the side of the foam. This is just on the back. I'm just putting this on the glue while it's wet so I don't have to come back and pin or stick any of that later. I use a lot of Spanish moss. It is messy. I don't care. It's my preferred natural look. And of course, that goes really great with boho because why not? It's nature. We're ready to start the fun part. And in this design, we're going to start off with the drama first instead of second. A lot of times we put our greenery first, but in this design, there's not as much greenery. We're using the pampas like a greenery, okay? So this one divides easily into two pieces. This is super long pampas, and we want to utilize the length of it, and it's got great staggering on the stem. So sometimes when you can find great staggering like this, it's going to save you work in the long run where you're not having to cut it and re-pick it. If you've ever taken a floral design class before, you may notice 𝗃𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃 doesn't use a pick machine. I'm going to make cuts so I don't waste any steps with a pick machine, okay? All right, I'm coming in with my first piece of pampas. And this is going to kind of establish my height here, about how much height I want to have. So I'm going to go like right in here. So I'm going to use the side of the foam here to push in. You want to hear a nice little crunch, then you know you're in. So this is kind of shooting off to the side. Now, if I've got a place like here that's got a big chunk of glue, because I just used a lot, and I know it's going to need to maybe show, possibly it will show, I'll just cover it with glue like I would on a redwood grapevine. Here's the other piece, and that's just going to flank right beside it. I'm going to take and cut this into two shorter pieces, and we're going to put them both on either side, okay, to break that up. Now on this design, what you need to know is it has a transition right in the middle. Just like on the one with the mauves and the white pumpkin, same transition zone, okay? Right in the middle. And what a transition is that's where things change direction, up and down. And beginning wreath makers or just less experienced wreath makers have a tendency to, that's the thing they have a hard time with. They kind of like, oh, I'll stick one there and I'll stick one there. But if you don't have a flow, it kind of makes your work look busy or messy. So we're going to start to establish our flow right now. This is up, so our next one will go down, and we're going to work opposite. Okay? What I try to do is just show you how to easily break up the piece into sections. And then you may have to shorten it or lengthen it. It just depends where you're going in, okay? Okay, so you see the angle is going to continue from each side, okay? From right to left. All right, I'm going to come in up above here. What I've done on the top, I've done on the bottom roughly. Now remember, everything's wired, and we can spread it out and space it around, okay? And get a little bit wider placement here to match. I don't have a hanger on here, so it might shift left or right, but we'll get a hanger on by the end. Let's go to our next step. We've got our pampas in. Now, one of the things we're going to use to kind of come out really long, the mint pumpkin spray that is going to be our first mint color that's going to go layer out over the boho, okay? And we're going to continue going opposite each other. So on this one, I'm going to leave it long and lanky, and we're just going to cut it right here, right below the last pumpkin. Sometimes we're going to want to pin into the foam rather than just stick it in, depending how much space we need. Now I've done what we call shake hands with these sprays, and that means make sure the leaves are facing forward, make sure the pumpkins are facing forward, and everybody's nice and spread out. So this looks really pretty laying right on top of the pampas. It needs to be shorter, so you need to be coming down. Let me show you guys what these are. If you're new, you may not know this is a floral pin. They're a little hard to see on camera, but it's a metal U-shaped pin. We're going to use that into the foam. The pins are a little bit longer than the foam, so I'll use them at an angle. You do need glue on that pin. We're going to get it in. I'm going to try to get my spacing right. I want it a little bit down. I want that same angle. Now we're going to pin at an angle to the foam. Just this one pin is not going to be enough because somebody could pull it and it will come right out. So that's just the start. It's going to hold it for a second. And now I'm going to come up here at one of the intersections where I've got a U right here, and we're going to pin down into it too. So I've got, you know, something to hold it also. I told you, those shoppers are going to come up with it, holding it by that little stem. And I'm going to have a panic attack. Okay, so we've got that flying up. We're going to do the same thing flying down. We're keeping them opposite. Let's shake hands again. Get everybody facing front and beautiful, looking pretty. Bringing them all forward. And I basically want pretty similar spacing. And we want to kind of start to get tighter to the center as we work back. So these should overlap slightly, okay? So I'll cut that in about the same placement. And we'll be pinning those in too. Okay, let me bring this over just a little bit. And you can adjust your spacing because the wire can bend, okay? Looks good. Let's pin this one in. Let's get this one in. All right, I'm gonna bring it in right here. Hold the first one in. Okay, and then I'm gonna need another one up here to keep this from falling. Look at the drama. Ooh, yes. Next up is sunflowers. We're going to use these gorgeous sunflowers. Now, I'm always on the fence about keeping the leaves on. We're going to leave them on right now. I may take them off though, okay? The reason is, guys, the more leaves you have on the stems that are going on, that are going in the project, they kind of fight with the other greenery and things. So sometimes you'll see me pull the leaves off. We're going to have one of these kind of popping right above, right up here. Oh my God, so pretty. Number one, sunflower going up, smiling, looking pretty. Make sure you get a good curve on that stem. We want it popping out at your face, okay? One of the keys to making designs like I do, and maybe they're not for everybody, but I am big into depth, okay? Because if you sell your pieces, you can get more money for things with depth, and they just look more engaging when you look at them. So look how far that sunflower comes forward, okay? Think about it, okay? Pretty. So this is over to the side, this is up high. Okay, next sunflower's coming down right here. We're going to have two sunflowers on the top and on the bottom. This is fairly matchy-matchy to some extent, and we're going to trip you up at the end. Well, that's the plan, unless I go off course. I'm going to take two leaves off and leave one on. Okay, isn't the mint pretty? It is so pretty. And this is what really just, it's got this, I don't know what you want to call it, it's like a watercolor type look. It's so fun. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit shorter, tucked in a little bit. I want it a little bit lower, right in here. Okay? It is so pretty. It's like a green and mint. Actually, I had to lose the leaf because I needed it so short. I had to cut below the leaf. Okay, so no leaf on that one. Isn't it pretty? It has a little touch of green, but it just mixes so well with that mint. And I'm pushing into the foam. I want to hear a nice crunch. Make sure it's going in and you're not just getting the edge of the foam. Go in. Okay, so high and low. Now we're going to repeat this below, low, and high. Okay, so opposite, opposite. All right, everybody got that one? We're going to work opposite on the bottom part. Y'all, I better see floating wreaths breaking the internet. These are so stinking pretty. Let's come on down. I'm going to pull a couple leaves off. And we can probably leave one leaf. Okay, so I'm going opposite, so this will be a little bit longer. I want to just bring it up here and play with it. Okay, I'm happy with that, so that means I need to cut it right about here. So you're going to have to hold it up to your piece and kind of get an idea. Because I want it to swoop out, I got to cut it a little bit longer because I need to make that little bit of a bend in it. Opposite, so now we're going to come across. We're going to work opposite, and this will be shorter, right in here, tucked into our pumpkins. Okay, now you can spread out these pumpkins, but I'm kind of keeping them on this side because we've got another little pumpkin we'll be tucking in the middle a little bit, okay? Sunflower number 4, cutting it short. Losing the leaf. No leaf on this one. Okay, open that head up a little bit, just getting in there and pushing it back. Give it a nice curve, and now I'm going to tuck in here, opposite. Oh my God, it's so pretty. I'm just getting so excited. So you can see we made this little pocket in here, and it's very clear where the transition is right now. You're kind of looking at an angle right now, but this, if we need to, we'll be filling in here. Okay? So pretty. Let me bring this one over just a little bit to get that angle just a little bit more matchy. Okay, I like that these are not straight facing forward. They're kind of out. Big Beautiful 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. And it's very chunky, but I like it. It doesn't really shed. Really nice. It's artificial, like all the other cool stuff. And I want to use this kind of just tucked in here, right by Mr. Sunflower, either here or I can run it on the outside. Either way, I kind of like it up the middle. I like it up the middle. So I'm going to cut this a little shorter, about 4-inch stem. And then we're going to start to lay these in. Now, I was thinking we would do this a little asymmetrical, where we would use maybe 1 on the top and 2 on the bottom, just to kind of throw it off a little so it's not quite so matchy. So I think that would be fun. So let's run the first one right in here. Let's get this in and put it on in. I went ahead and I'm going to try to put this one into the foam. If we need to, though, we can always take and pin it. No, it's going in good. So it's going to shoot right in here, right behind that pumpkin. Oh gosh, that's so pretty. I mean, the sunflower. Okay, now let's bring this up. I'm going to come in the bottom. Now I'm going to put 2. We're going to use one opposite, okay, right in here, going opposite that. But it's going to be tighter to the center. So that'll be our first piece. So I'll take and just cut this really short. The best time to try this is fall because it just lends itself to the textures of the season, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just an easy transition. Now I think we'll have a little more difficulty trying to get this look, to pull off this look in winter or Christmas mainly. But you know what? Maybe we will. Maybe we'll try a little bit too. Now, here's my third one. This is where we're going to do our triangle. 1, 2. So the third one needs to come down here, probably behind the pumpkins or a little bit longer. Something like this, or we can make it shorter. So I'm going to start by cutting it right here. So I'm looking at my lines here. 1, 2, 3. I need to decide how far I want it back, or if I want it down, or do I want it up tight right there? Okay, so we can play with all 3. Let me bring it down a little. Gosh, this is so pretty. The other option is I put it up high where it comes out the top of the transition point. You can see I'm still making a triangle. So I'm going to leave that up to you, what you like best on your piece. I kind of like this coming up here. So it's a little bit more opposite than this, but I'm still getting a triangle. Okay? So we're going to pin it in right here where it just goes right underneath. You guys, have fun with yours. Try it whichever way you want. This one was kind of calling to me right here. So I'm going to try to push this into the side of the foam and just get that going up right there. Really pretty. And you can give these a little more motion forward, whatever you want to do to space it out. I need to get a little moss on that. Now, we're ready to put our main piece in the middle, which is a velvet pumpkin. And the nice thing about this dude is he's going to cover up all of this area. Oh my gosh, and I just love this little pocket we made for him. Once he's in, we're going to pop in a couple little bit of pumpkins around him and just kind of make this a nice tight cluster in the middle. So here I'm taking a pin and I'm just taking and pushing it through a couple of pieces of the velvet here. Oh, it's not velvet. What is this? Yeah, velvet, I guess. Okay, so I pinned it through. It's a U-pin going through the velvet. And I'm going to get my first pin in, and I like to pay attention to the stem when I'm putting pumpkins in. Okay? I'm going to put it right here. So I'm going to put the first one in. I'm getting glue on it. And I like my stem kind of kicking out. And we'll push that into the foam. Oh my gosh, that's so perfect right there. It's just snuggled up right in there. Look how cute that is. Okay, now tucking in around that, I got a couple of smaller velvet pumpkins with some pretty leaves. And we're going to use those to kind of cover up all the mechanics and just pop in right here beside the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. So I'm going to put this one in right here low. Okay, let's push that one in. And this one has some cute little berries. I'm going to use that in there. Just tuck it in. And we want to use the leaves to soften it up. Look how pretty. All right, now let's go on the top. And let's put this one in. This is another one, and we're going to just kind of go a little bit opposite right here. Not too matchy-matchy, but right in here, tucking it in right here, a little bit behind at a little bit of an angle. Okay, and I'm going to try to get it a little bit further back. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I'm loving it. You guys see it? Look at, ah, so pretty. I need to pin this one in, okay? I did not pin it in yet. So on this one, the idea was to get that center tight instead of one big pumpkin, using several. So I'm putting glue on my floral pins, and then I'm making sure I'm grabbing it in a couple of places, not just one, or it will pull out. You need one through the stem and one over the main stem. I just hope you're trying some of these just different things than we normally, this is just so different than we normally do, and we're trying different styles, different techniques, just to kind of, you know, come out of our comfort zone. All right, now I want to come in the center here and just add just a little bit of berries. These are white berries, and I'm going to use them in here to soften and just break the plane a little bit of all these hard lines of the pumpkins, okay? Because we have that foam behind, I'm going to tear this and keep these really long. When you do that, you're going to get lots of little pieces right here with long stems, and we can make this really work to our advantage. I'm hoping just to use one stem of this to really make this pretty. Y'all know we're going to have to make more of this gorgeous, pretty color in design school. Oh, so pretty. All right, let's start right here. Remember your transition points. So if we're going down here, we got to be going down with the berries too. They're not going to shoot out. They're going to work down. We're just going to start to soften this all around the center. Okay, let's come in here. Cream, I've got 1, 2, let's put one more on that side. I'm going to try to get this up a little bit and this out. Okay, let me put just a little bit more here kind of coming out. I'm going to go a little bit higher, okay, so it looks like it's cascading. I'm just trying to fill in this gap between here and here. We've got everything ready to release to you guys as soon as we're done. And then tonight's project will also have a supply list, okay? All right, let's go to the other side, and we'll keep adding just little bits of berries in there. This is called detail work. We use a little detail work. It takes a little time, but we use this to add, once again, the little bit of texture and breaking the plane between the two, the hard lines of the pumpkin and the sunflower. So I'm at the transition, so now this goes up, okay? Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna try to put one more like right here, coming up. And on these, I'm just filling in, kind of bridging the gap between the lines of the pumpkins, and then coming over to the cream pampas here, just kind of going in between with all of these. Definitely not symmetrical, just whimsical and fun. The main thing you got to think about when you're doing this, you want to stay with those transition points, okay? And then I really say there's no rules except for that. Okay, let me take a step back and look at it. Oh, I want to tuck this in just a little bit more. All right, and I need a little more. I've got a hole right here, so I'm going to put a couple more in there. You know, I think it's turned out really lovely, so different. I just can't wait to see how this style goes for reselling. I'm excited about it. But I think it's really attractive visually, so I don't think we have to worry about it selling. It really looks good. Okay, I've got a nice cluster there. 1, 2, 2, 1. I think maybe let's have one more go down. Right here down. Just to bring that little bit of berry line down. Well, we needed something to soften all the pumpkins. You could have done it with the greenery also. That turned out so pretty. Okay, let me show you guys what we got going. All right, you guys, see you later, Blue Merinos.